Hello everyone, as you know, I went to the Swiss Alps this year, specifically the Jungfrau Region of Switzerland. This is the Swiss Alps How I Did It series. We're going to start with a review of the top 5 things about the trip, and then subsequent videos will cover a variety of topics should you be interested in making your life a story worth telling with a similar adventure. So in no particular order, we have number 1, paragliding into the Lauterbrunnen Valley. I wanted this trip to build on the Canadian Rockies trip and be woven with more adventurous choices. Paragliding into the valley was the big choice, both in terms of cost and it just being a bit crazy based on my previous life choices. I chose a company called Airtime after someone used them on YouTube, and I didn't regret it for a moment. It was an absolutely awesome experience from start to finish. Everyone from Airtime was helpful and just amazing to talk to, and the descent into the valley, it's almost impossible to describe, and it is a memory I'll always have with me. Number 2, Vennen. I absolutely loved Vennen, which I hope I'm pronouncing right. I debated with myself for a while where to stay, which is a subject of another video, but deep down I believe it probably was always Vennen. I just feared I'd feel it was a bit too remote, but that just wasn't the case. It sits on the side of the Lauterbrunnen Valley, so you pretty much have to travel in and out of it to do anything. But that didn't really matter. There's no way to be really out of position in the Jungfrau region. I loved heading out on the train in the morning, and the psychological and relax of the train journey back into Vennen was more amazing than a chore. Walking out of the hotel to see the view down into the Lauterbrunnen Valley to start my day, it was just glorious. The place was serene and quiet as there's no cars. The only real sound you hear is the bells of goats or cows as you're ambling through the village. It was just brilliant, and it meant I was fully there, in the moment, in the mountains, at every point in my trip, and it was just brilliant. Number 3, the trains and cable cars. I didn't actually go on as many cable cars as I thought I would. I did go on 3 different ones, but 5 different trips, as I went up Grindelwald first 3 times, possibly 4 times. Anyway, I went on the trains a lot more, and I love the trains. Jack knows that I got really excited because I got to see the trains in Jasper, and riding the trains in the Jungfrau region was absolutely brilliant. Driving around the Canadian Rockies was great. It was an essential part of that trip. It actually made that trip. But actually not needing a car for the Jungfrau region of the Swiss Alps was everything. And they're not just train journeys. These train journeys are experiences. The journey up and down to Vennen with the views into the Lauterbrunnen Valley, just astounding. The train between Lauterbrunnen and Grindelwald valleys via getting the train from Vennen to Kleine Scheidegg and then down into the Grindelwald Valley, I did that 3 times and it never got old. 4, hiking at height. This was one of the main reasons I wanted to go to the Jungfrau region. The fact that cable cars and trains meant you could hike at height without the pain of hiking up. I also wanted to push myself in terms of the types of hikes I did. The trip delivered on both these things. The hikes were astoundingly gorgeous. It was different to the Canadian Rockies because other than one hike in the Canadian Rockies, we always felt we were hiking a bit from the ground floor. The Jungfrau region puts you at the heights, looking at the vast mountains on what feels like an equal basis and down into glorious valleys. I also did longer and more strenuous hikes than I did in Canada. I also got bolder with each hike. It was just amazing. It helped that most of them had exit points or options to shorten them if they got too much. It was just impeccably well organised. I get that some people might view the region as being overdeveloped, but it didn't feel like that to me when hiking virtually alone from Kleiner Scheidegg to Vennen. I'd describe it less as being overdeveloped and more as being accessible. Last, but by no means least, flying, karting and scootering down Grindelwald first. The adventures down Grindelwald first. I mean, some people may complain that it's a bit of a touristy addition, but I think they're genius. Basically what happens is you go up a 3-stage cable car to Grindelwald first, and then at each of those stages down has a different adventure option. The first stage was via the flyer, which affords amazing views. Then you get to go in a go-kart and career down the mountain, again literally assaulted by gorgeous views on the way down. Finally, you take a scooter down into the luscious green scenery of the Grindelwald Valley back into town, and it is hard to describe. The scooter was actually the most dangerous thing I did across the whole trip. The first time I did it, I actually crashed and I had some deep purple bruises on my leg for the rest of the trip. It was a pretty brutal crash. I admit to going on the go-kart and scooter sections twice. I needed to do it again as the footage was a bit unusable the first time. I hadn't really mastered the old GoPro on the helmet thing and it went completely wrong. But that was really just an excuse because both the go-kart and the scooters, absolutely brilliant. My trip to the Jungfrau Region was pretty much everything I expected it to be and more. I even extended my trip by 1 day, scrapping the day in Geneva on the way back. It was literally that good. If you want epic views that make you think you're on a different planet, crazy adventure options and accessible hikes at height, I just can't recommend it enough. It is an absolutely gloriously, impeccably organised place. It's also amazingly compatible for solo travel, as I just got on with my thing. I could travel around, hop on different trains. It was all amazingly easy. It just felt right and it never felt odd or strange. Everyone is amazingly friendly and welcoming. As a solo destination, it is almost perfection. If you've got any questions about my trip or for a trip you're considering, don't hesitate to post a comment. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe for future videos in the series where we'll discuss where to stay, the hotel I stayed at, how to travel around, some of the key apps I used and numerous other interesting stuff. Until then, let's make life a story worth telling together.